Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make this fun gift set, and you can see that it's a note cube, and we're actually going to stamp on the side of it. So you can make this completely customizable to however you want. And I thought, wouldn't this be a fun way to give somebody a set of peg stamps for like a birthday or Christmas? I think this is such a fun idea. And the thing I love about peg stamps is that I have so many friends that have started using peg stamps, and they say, well, I'm not creative, but I can do peg stamps, you know? And it's so funny because yes, you are creative, but I love how peg stamps makes people, it's kind of like that gateway stamping drug. It gets you into rubber stamping because it is completely accessible and it totally feels like you can do it. So if you've got somebody that's been admiring your crafty work lately, this would be a really thoughtful Christmas present to make. But even if you don't put stamps in it, it'd be a really really handy thing for a teacher to have, for them to put their pens and their other like desk accessories in, and then they've got a little place for a you know, to write their notes. And I mean, there's hundreds of sheets of paper in here, so it's really handy. I picked up the blank note cubes at Oriental Trading. It came in a 3-pack, and I got these quite a few years ago, and I'm finally getting around to using them. This would also be a really awesome teacher's gift. And I don't know about you, but I still have phones attached to the wall in my house because otherwise I can't find them. And this is great to have by the phone, so you can take a note when somebody calls, because nobody ever calls for me. They're calling for other people, so I always have to take notes. So we're going to get into this. This is a really fun project, and it doesn't take very many supplies. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp on a note cube. And my little trick for kind of keeping this from flopping all around when we work on it is to take a rubber band and just go right around the note cube, okay? Just like that. It's going to keep it nice and tight. Now, I'm going to use Post-it notes, and what I did here, and I'll just show you on a fresh one, is you want to tear, because if you could line it up straight like that, but if you're not perfect and you don't have all your sides stamped perfectly, you're going to notice. So I'm just tearing on the sticky edge, just tearing off a little bit so I have like a deckled edge, and that way if I don't have everything perfect from edge to edge, you're not going to notice it. It's not even, you're not even going to be able to tell. And plus I think it gives a nice kind of vintage flair. So I'm going to press that one down there, and I'm just going to take this one because why waste another Post-it note? I'll just use this one I've already tied, already torn here. And it's perfect size for this. In fact, you could do something like this with a stack of Post-it notes too. You don't have to use a note cube if you don't want to. I just want to try to have it fairly equal on both sides. And then to protect my edges, I am going to use just a couple plain Post-it notes and just stick them right over here. I know the rubber band's kind of in the way, but you know, it's just to catch any little stray bits of ink. Now, Rubber Stamp Tapestry is now carrying the ink blending brushes. Maybe they had them all along. They never told me. Luckily, you viewers are on the ball because you guys told me. And I'm just going to use a blending brush and some turquoise ink. This is very close to the Bahama Blue, but I'm actually using in the Memento line, but I'm actually using my Stampin' Up! Tempting Turquoise because I have a bigger pad. And sometimes I feel that I'm just going to have to re-ink them so much more often if I use a couple color dusters on the smaller pads. You can totally do either way, but I figured, well, that one's really nice and juicy. I'm just going to use that pad because I have it. And if you want a little more concentration of ink on the edge, just squeeze your bristles together and you can dab some right in there. This is the front part of our of the note cube. It's the part that would kind of sit against, that would be opposite where we're going to put our little box. Now I'm going to use the bow on the front part only, and I'm going to ink that up in red. And I'm just going to stamp that right in the, look at your registration mark, that's the bottom of the bow tail. So I'm just going to go straight down in kind of the middle, maybe up a little bit, closer to the top than the bottom. And look how good that stamps. These are, we're stamping on the edges of paper, like the edges of a book. Look how good that stamps. Okay, now I'm going to use a branch, and I'm already done dusting, so if these fall off, it's not a big deal. I am going to use the branch from Bittersweet, because I love that branch, and that's a very inexpensive set. If you're looking for something affordable to like give out as gifts, that's a really affordable set, and it's a very easy to, oh, whoops, just stamped on the wrong color. Oh, by the way, 20% off coupon code. Use the coupon notes if you want to save 20% on your peg stamp order and stock up on your Christmas gifts. It's a really great set to start out with because you don't need to have a lot of materials. You could get somebody the the bittersweet set, which is just 2 stamps and, you know, 2 shades of pink ink, or 2 or 3 shades of ink, like maybe a red, orange, and brown, and then they can do all sorts of fall time stamping. It's just a really nice set. So now we've got the ornaments, and I'm going to do the biggest one in this turquoise blue, because we've got, it's not going to be overpowering because it is big, but it's the same color as the background, so it's going to be a nice tone-on-tone, subtle look. And then I am going to do some of the pink ornaments. I think I might squeeze one here on the edge. I'm going to tip it kind of so it's going a little sideways. And then do one over here, because I didn't want to run right next to that bow. And then we'll do this green one. You really can't mess it up. I mean, I'm looking and I'm saying, oh, I should have done this a different way, but it really doesn't matter. You can't mess it up. And that is one side done. So we're going to take our mask off, and we've got that pretty deckled edge. And we are going to repeat the steps on the side, but we're going to move our rubber band so that we can get to our sides. Okay. And then again, what I like to do is I'll look on the edge and I will line up my Post-it note to wherever the ink stops there. So I'm kind of just like lining up with that inky edge, and then I just keep my sides of the Post-it note square to the sides of my cube, and that's how I do that. And I'm just looking at the side there and just lining that up so that it's going to appear like there's one torn piece of paper going all around. Line that up. We'll do this one together. The other side will be just like this, so we don't need to do that one together. But we're going to ink it with our turquoise and our ink sweepers. And if you're getting the ink sweepers, what I want to recommend is that then you probably don't even need to do the sides. I'm not getting ink on the edges without Post-it noting it. The thing you want to consider when you're buying the ink sweepers is to get enough of these that you can keep one for each color so you don't have to wash them, and then they just get more useful because you don't waste that ink. The ink stays in the brush, and then, you know, you just add to it every time you swipe, and you don't have to clean it and rinse it all that good ink. So that's kind of handy. And we're going to go again. This time we're going to do the branch the entire way across with our brown Memento or Rich Cocoa. And I'm just looking around the edge, and I'll show you there. I am kind of trying to line my registration mark up with the side of that branch. See? Ah, look at me. I'm pretty good at this. Watch me flub it up now. And I'm just trying to keep my eye on that registration mark and bring that across. Gotta make sure I got room for those branches to dangle too, the ornaments to dangle. So I might go in with the big blue Christmas ornament a couple times. And then I can put in the other ones. Or you can just do it once on each time. It's completely up to you. I like to make them kind of tipping out this way and that way, because that, if I do that, it doesn't feel like I have to have everything hanging absolutely straight. It's the same thing with like doing the deckled edge. If you do that, it looks like you're not going to notice if you're not exactly precise, and this way the ornaments can be kind of swinging in the breeze. Now what I like to do is take a pen, and then if you have room, I don't really have a ton of room here, you can draw little like lines from the ornaments to the branches. If you have space, it's nice to have enough room that you can dangle the ornaments down a little bit, but just to kind of give you an idea. I'm going to do this third set, and then we're going to come back and we are going to do the box and the pen. And here I have a little better example of doing the leaving a little bit longer of space between the ornaments and the branch, so you can kind of have them swinging in the breeze. I like that. So then once you've done that, you can take off the rubber band. And oh, look at that, I stamped all these on upside down, but not a big deal. I'll just take off that top sheet that has the ordering information on it, because it doesn't really matter. It's not a sticky note set, so there's no sticky on there. And now we're going to make the box portion, and I need my cutting board for this, so I'm going to set my the pad I like to stamp on to the side. And what I found is that these blocks are about 3 inches wide, and there's so many boxes that come 3 inches wide. I had this sitting on my table, then I looked and I saw, look at that, Sharpie boxes are also 3 inches wide, and you know, cheap press-on nails from the Dollar Tree are also 3 inches wide. So it's a very handy and easy to find size, so you can look in your recycling bin and probably find something very similar. So what I'm doing is I am going to use this as a guide to mark my my box for cutting. Okay, so I love things. I love being able to recycle, and these are so nice and sturdy, so it's perfect. If by any chance you cannot find a box that is 3 inches wide, then you know, you can cut up a cracker box, a cereal box, make something very you know, very simple, and do it that way. And this is actually a new knife I'm testing out from Fiskars. My other X-Acto knives, they always, they're the old metal ones, and they always like come loose, and I always have to stop mid-project and retwist and tighten it. I completely cut this awkwardly, and I'm just going to try to even it up. It doesn't have to be as tall as the pad, because the pad's going to get shorter as you use it, so so don't worry if you completely do what I just did. There we go. See, it does not have to be perfect, because we are going to do some fanciness in a second here. I'm going to put a cap on this before I cut myself. Okay, so now I've got a piece of paper that's about, it's from a 6x6 pad. It's about 3 1/4 by 6. And you basically just need it a little bit taller than your box, because we are going to reinforce the edges and neaten up the edges by doing some scoring. And I'm just using my scoring tool here. This is a Score Pal. And I'm going to take my box and basically just score around it. So I'm going to get on one side there really good. Actually, you know what? I want to work on the front side, because you want your score lines. You always want to have your score lines on the front. You want to fold against them. So I'm just going to score on this side of it as well. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this over to the side, because I want to score the lip that's going to come down, and I got to make sure that I'm going to be slightly taller than what it is. So I think, yeah, that's going to give me plenty of room. Okay, now this is super fancy. I am going to fold this around the box. I know this is probably very tedious and boring, but I want you to see how I'm doing this, because it's going to be, you're going to have to figure out how to cover. Your box might not be exactly as wide as mine, so I can't give you an exact measurement. That way you can do it with whatever size you have. So now I'm just going to make a mark there, and then I'll score it on the correct side. Wait a minute, let's just do this the correct way. We'll start our score up top. It's a little easier to do that. Alright, and now I'm going to reposition it. Figure out where it needs to be on this side. There we go. And I'm just going to redo the score on this front side, just so it's not going to crack, so the paper doesn't crack on me. Alright, and I think I'm going to also snip where we're going to fold over the top, just so we don't get any weird buckling issues. So I'm just snipping right there down to that crease. You could probably even do little V-notches if you want to. In fact, why don't we just slightly shave off a little on either side of each of these, so we'll have a nice, neat fold when we go to wrap it around. I'm going to use my ATG gun to attach this to the cardboard box, but I mean, you can really use whatever you want, whatever glue you prefer for attaching paper to paper. It's going to be fine. And let's do it. So I'm going to put a generous amount, several strips, because I want to make sure it's not going to come undone. And I'm also going to get these little flaps and a little bit more on the edge, because I don't like the back to be loose. The back was, I didn't glue down the back properly in the other one, so I had to use hot glue, and it made kind of a bulky mess. So now we are going to wrap it around just like so. I just want to, I'm going to set it on my board though, just to make sure I get it. This is a little awkward. You know what? Yes paste would be really good, because you can readjust it. Okay, so I'm getting it wrapped all the way around, but since we scored it, it's going really nice and neatly. And then we'll fold in our tabs And there we go. We have a fairly nice, neat box. All right. And of course that's a little messy because I didn't cut it very well. So what I'm going to do is actually take this little piece that I have left over, because I was originally just going to put paper. I was just going to take a piece of paper and cover that up like that, but it looked kind of lame, and I thought, well, why don't we make something that will actually be useful. So let me just do that. I need to trim it just a hair slimmer, I think. Let's make sure that fits before I add adhesive. Oh, I just need a little bit skinnier, actually. There we go, that's going to fit nicely. And then I want to do plenty of adhesive on this as well. Okay. We'll insert that just like we're lining an envelope, and we can pull that over, and then nobody knows that we don't know how to cut a box to save our lives. And then if you want to add, I was going to do washi tape, because what I did, because my prototypes, my first times I make something is always a little bit more messy, so I use some washi tape to go around it to neaten it up, but I really don't want to do that because this is pretty neat. So I thought maybe instead this time I will just use some pretty metallic washi tape from the Dollar Tree. That's pretty. Do we like that color? Why not? You could use a different color if you want, or totally skip it. Maybe it's tacky. Who knows? I can never tell. Oh, I've gotten glitter. This tape does not keep its glitter very well, though. So, buyer beware. If you like the look of this, it sheds glitter like crazy. See, that's all over my scoring board. It's all over my hands. It's probably going to be in my family's dinner before the days. Oh my gosh, look at that. Hopefully there's some glitter left on the tape. Well, you get what you pay for, right? So I'm going to put that right on the back. Oh my gosh, it's adorable. I love it. So cute. And I'm going to use hot glue to do that. So I'm just going to go around. You don't have to go too close to the edges because it's going to smush out a little bit when we stick it on there. And just try to line it up as neat as you can. Make sure the bottom of the box is on the bottom of your notepad so you don't have everything falling out of your little box. And just adjust it until you have it in there just so. And there is that. It's kind of fun and funky. And the next thing we're going to do is a little matching pen. So what I have done is I just took a piece of typing paper, nothing fancy, and I put actually put down 3 strips of the of my, like, I don't know, 3/4 inch wide tape, and I cut it in half when I was able to use one, because one width of my tape is not wide enough to go around a pen, so I need kind of like 1.5. So that's what I use for this. Any double-sided tape is fine. I would recommend something with a liner on it so you're not getting it stuck on things as you work. I'm going to get my little stamp pad back here, and we are going to do the same thing we did on the whatchamacallit. Let's turn this around so you can copy down that coupon code if you don't. The link in the video description will have all the information, but sometimes you're not watching it on my channel. We're going to dust this, give it a nice pretty blue, and I like doing this over using like cardstock or paper that's already colored, because you get the exact color you want if you're getting the same colors you're going to stamp with. Okay, and now we're going to go in with a big one, and don't be shy when doing the pen. You really want to fill, I got hot glue strings everywhere, you really want to fill up the area. You can go off the edge, you can tip them this way or that, have fun with it. You're not really going to notice any sort of discernible pattern. This is longer than I'm going to need even, but that's alright. It's better to go over the edge and be able to trim it off if you want. I do some red ones. And now if you're not trying to line them up, then if you have one that's off, it's not going to be glaring. And then we'll do our other green one. Now once we have this all stamped, what we're going to do is have a look at our pen, and I actually think that I will trim off a little bit first so I have a nice starting point. And then I'm going to line my pen up here. And I am going to make a little snip right at the top of the white, okay? Because you don't want to try to cover over the part where it tapers in. It's going to be very difficult. So I just want to make sure that I have that accurate. And in fact, I'll just make a little mark so I can cut it across. Let's make a little mark right there. And you can just snip that across with your scissors. We'll just hold it up just to make sure before we start wrapping. It's a little tall. We're going to shave off just a little bit. Once you take that liner off your tape, it's super sticky, so you don't want to be messing with that. And then I am actually going to wrap this around before I even take the liner off and see about where I'm at. Okay, so that's about right. What I think I'm going to want to do before I peel the liner off is actually trim off this area that has no adhesive on it. So that way I won't have to trim it after with my knife, hopefully. And so now I think I'll start by just removing one of the strips of liner here. And then I am going to line my pen up to the edge. Hopefully you can see that good. And just roll. Okay, I've got a good start there, so what I'm going to do is peel off the rest of the liner. And you could also use this if you're just if you just want to use scrapbook paper, like a regular thin scrapbook paper, you could do that same thing. And there we've got beautiful custom pen. Now the pen cap is not going to fit on this anymore, so just keep that in mind. It's going to be a capless pen, but it's still going to look great in the little note cube. So let's say you're making a present for a friend who just got into stamping, and you put your some peg stamps in there for them, and it would just be such a fun little treat to give and to have. And you know, you could even do a couple little stamps to, you know, keep on your own little notepad. I just think that's such a fun, cute project, and I hope you give it a try. You could even do it with Post-it notes. Teachers love Post-it notes, and that would be a great idea to get a nice big thick cube of Post-it notes and do the same thing. And this little box makes it extra super handy. And I don't know if these have any issues with the papers coming apart more than you want them to, but that's going to give it a little extra stability so that if you get halfway down through the block, you're still going to have something that they're attached to, so hopefully they wouldn't fall apart. If you want to find the stamps that I used or the really fun little duster brushes, you can find them at our sponsor, pegstamps.com. That's rubber stamp tapestry. And don't forget to use the coupon code NOTES to save 20% on your order of mounted stamps. That's these ones here on the pegs. There's lots of other things there, from the inks that I used and lots of other accessories too, so make sure you have a good look around there and see what they have to offer. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber here. And until next time, happy crafting!